Hi everyone, welcome to SWPL My Story, and today we are joined by Boroughmuir manager Andy Enwood. How are you, Andy?
I'm good, Martin. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No, not at all. Thanks for joining us. A pretty good start to your reign as the Boroughmuir manager. Once you've gelled the team and you've started to get a bit of momentum, and you're really on form at the moment. How have you seen this first part of the season under your perspective?
Um, I think first of all, the players have been absolutely magnificent. Their effort and their attitude has been absolutely spot on. Um, we had a tricky start to the season in terms of the results, but that didn't really reflect the buy-in from the players. We've tweaked a couple of things since then, over the space of kind of 4 or 5 weeks, and we've definitely found a bit more of a rhythm now, a bit more of a kind of shape with the ball, without the ball, and what we're trying to do. That's allowed us to go on the kind of current little run that we're on. So I think when I say things have settled down, I think they've settled down in terms of us starting to pick up more points. But it's not as if the players are now just starting to try more, or they're buying in more, or they're listening more. That has absolutely been there from the very beginning. But with anything, with a new manager coming in, things are going to be slightly different, and without doubt, it takes time, and nobody's going to be able to come in and get things right straight away. So yeah, I'm still learning about some of the players in even more detail, and that'll probably allow me to change things even further going forward.
Yeah, I think just to echo what you're saying there from the outside, when we're looking back through the results and the fixtures, there is always going to be a bedding in period for the players. Not, as you say, not about buying in, but just to understand your ways of working, what you're wanting to do with regards to shape and styles of play. But unbeaten in your last four. You've closed that gap now. Was a bit of a gap up to Livingston and Kilmarnock, but that's been closed right down. There's only 5 points separating you now, which is probably a position that you would have been confident in being in, but you'd be even happier now to see that on paper at this stage of the season.
Aye, I think even the biggest optimist, when you start the season off with a couple of defeats in a row, and then I think we drew our next game. 3 games in, you've got 1 point, and I think at the time we're sitting either joint bottom or second bottom of the league. Although there's plenty of time, and you know in your head that there's plenty of time, having been a coach for a number of years, at the same time you're always conscious that the players themselves will look and go, okay, we've got a new manager, and it started like this. But as I said, I haven't found it to be like that. The entire pre-season, we played a raft of SWPL one teams, and the girls competed very, very well in those games. And again, not only did they compete, but they were being asked to do something different at the very, very start. So I've seen a lot of good characters, and I've seen a lot of real positive things about them as people, as to their willingness to do what they've been asked to do. So yeah, but obviously now, as you say, it's a lot better to see some more points on the board. And from where we were, we've kind of clawed ourselves back up the table, a little bit closer to the top. So it's just about trying to, especially before Christmas, we've got 2 games left, and trying to maintain that form. And there'll be tough fixtures against Stirling and St Johnstone. But if we could pick up 6 points, then I'm sure that the bare minimum, that gap to second place for now, would be 5.
As we've touched on, you came in over the summer to Boroughmuir, but previously you were at Edinburgh City, which seen you just at the SWF Awards be unveiled as the Championship and League One Coach of the Year, picking up the League and Cup double that season. Really successful season for you. Now, knowing you, Andy, you're not one for blowing your own trumpet, but I must have given you some pride in what you're doing and that you're on the right path, and obviously stood out to Boroughmuir to offer you the position at their club.
Aye, look, obviously it was nice to be nominated in the first place, and it was nice for the committee to select me to pick the trophy up. But there was other coaches involved. The players were the ones that did the business on the park. So, yeah, I'd like to think that I brought something to the table to kind of bring it all together and set some standards and aim for consistency and the way we tried to play with and without the ball and improve the players themselves. But there was a number of other people. Fraser was with me for the whole season. Kieran was with me for the whole season. Holly was there for over half a season, and then the players themselves. Again, it's quite similar to. Well, actually, I was going to say quite similar to Boroughmuir. Not as much because at Edinburgh, I literally was starting from scratch. I think I took over and there was maybe 8 or 9 players around. So we really were building from scratch. And a couple of weeks before the start of the season, we didn't really have a squad still. So to pull a squad together, to put in a framework, to then go on and be successful in the league and then in the cup against opposition who were in the league higher than us, was a great testament to everybody. And it was a long, hard season, but I think it was also an enjoyable one. There was you hate using these phrases like trust the process and the journey, but it absolutely was. It was a case of, I'm definitely a believer that if you train hard every week and you aim to improve every week and you're consistent every single week, the winning the majority of the time will be there, and it's a byproduct of doing things right. So that's the same thing that I've tried to install into Boroughmuir, and there's been a few players that I've obviously left when I've came in, and I've brought some players with me, but it's now just consistency, standards, expectations, and I think that's what the team needs just to try and get over the line from where they've been the previous couple of seasons.
Yeah, because last season, Boroughmuir were actually in the playoff places with a couple of games to go. I've been on, and obviously I've done a lot of these now with players, and SWPL 2 is so competitive, and it can flip in a couple of weeks from people near the top and dropping down the league because it is so tight. But with 2 games to go before the Christmas break, you're in a really strong position, as you've touched on as well. You've brought in players with you. You do have a wealth of experience, people that have played in SWPL 1 previously and got a lot of experience, a lot of young players as well that are very talented. So it seems like you have a very good balance going forward.
No, we've the squad at Boroughmuir is a very strong one. When I've came in, my message to the players is I'm not trying to change his players. I would like to try and add to his players and try and make you better, because the players that are there are good and have proven that from finishing fairly high up the table in the last couple of seasons. Where the players do have to improve on, and they know this, is that kind of that mentality, and that brings the consistency with it. And that's not to be negative about the players or negative about anything before, but the girls, they now realise if they want to take that next step, then the consistency has to be better. And that comes from mentality and no just turning up for a couple of weeks and then switching off for a couple of weeks, every single training night and every single game. And already we've suffered a little bit with that inconsistency. If I look at Sunday's game just there against Livingston, if I look at Stirling at home a little while back, both of these games, I felt that we dominated in terms of territory, we dominated in terms of chances, we limited both those teams to very, very few, yet we still ended up drawing those games, and so already there's 4 points that could have been added to our total. So that is something the players need to improve on, and they know that. But be clear, it's something that they are improving on, and that goes back to my original point of they're a really, really hard-working bunch of people, and they really want to improve. And so in the long run, I'm confident that we can keep making progress, and whether that means that we'll end up getting promoted this season, time will tell. Obviously, that would be the aim, and that's not a secret. And if it happens, fantastic. Or if we manage to force ourselves into the playoff position, then great, we can have a shot at that. But there's clearly other teams in and around that are strong as well, and doing well in that league, and have been in that league for a number of years too. So we know it's a challenging task, but without doubt the squad of players is there. It's capable and it can be done.
That's great, Andy, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. We'll be keeping tabs and seeing how you get on.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate that.
And thanks everyone for joining us on SWPL My Story.